Welcome back to Better Living. I'm Stephanie Martinez. Well, right now on Better Living, we're going to clear up a bit of misperception that some of you may have out there about dyslexia. And to help us do that, we have Sue Moore with us this morning. She is an advocate with the Dyslexia Advocates. She's with us here today. First off, I want to say thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, thank you for having me. I appreciate the time.
Oh, of course. Well, first, I would like to ask, what is the most common misperception?
Well, I think most people, when they think of dyslexia, they think of a person seeing letters backwards. And, you know, that would be a simple process if that's all it was. But dyslexia is much more complicated than that. It's actually a neurological based issue. And the brain of dyslexics, kids and adults, is actually wired differently than non-dyslexics. So when they read, there's different segments of or channels of their brain that are activated. So a dyslexic child, they may indeed see things backwards, but it's also an issue with difficulty with decoding letters. There's difficulty with sound to symbol recognition. They're usually not fluent readers, and it's just a much more difficult process. Things don't come automatically to a dyslexic student.
So I would almost assume that this really makes it difficult when it comes to the learning process.
Absolutely. And the key is, and what is so frustrating, dyslexic kids usually have an average to an above average intelligence, and a lot of times they just kind of shuffle through school, and it's the approach that let's just wait and see. They're smart kids, they can just make it through, maybe they're just not maturing quick enough.
Right.
But with dyslexia, you really need to identify it when the child is about 5.5 to 6 years old. And it can be identified that early. And then the key is to provide remediation, and then the rest of their school years flow so much smoother.
Is there ever a time that's too late to test for it?
I don't think there's ever a time that's too late. Even as an adult, if someone has suspected they might have dyslexia and are actually tested, there's still programs that you can offer to help that person. The key, though, is to get the best results. You have to diagnose early and then provide the appropriate instruction.
Well, how common is this for maybe a youngster out there, for even an adult?
Well, it's actually more common than people realize. About 1 in 5 people have some form of dyslexia. And that's a key when I say some form, because dyslexia runs on a spectrum. You have people that are mildly dyslexic and those that are very severely dyslexic. So it affects people in different ways, but it's very prevalent. It's the most common specific learning disability there is.
Well, you brought some items with you. Can you highlight what you brought?
Sure. This is a book, Overcoming Dyslexia, and my daughter's actually dyslexic. And when she was first diagnosed back when she was in first grade, this was like the first tool that I got to really help, because even this was 12 years ago. Back then there wasn't really a lot of information. Schools really didn't know a lot about dyslexia. They didn't really know how to address it. And a lot's changing. For instance, a lot of the universities are starting to incorporate what they call inclusive early childhood education. So their teachers are learning about dyslexia in detail, whereas before they maybe got 15 minutes on dyslexia, so they really didn't know how to help students. So lots is changing, but that is a perfect book for a parent that's really looking for some help and guidance as to how to best address it.
So a key book right there. You do have a second book with you.
I do. The other book I have, another one of my favorites, is the Dyslexia Empowerment Plan. And one thing you really need to focus on with the dyslexic student is because they experience so much failure in school, their self-esteem usually tends to drop, and they become depressed, and they feel like they're not successful at anything. And this book is a great book in that it tells you to really focus in on your child's strengths, to figure out what they're good at, and then to help them and nurture them and build upon that strength so they can feel like they are achieving and being successful.
Well, what's that first indicator? I know, of course, children being at home, but it seems like the educators and or maybe a babysitter or an additional guardian, a grandparent or something is around them just as often as a parent. What is that first indicator that might have someone saying, maybe we should check into this?
Right. Well, you know, when I think back to when my daughter was 5, she had difficulties with the alphabet. For her, she couldn't just recite the alphabet and pick out a letter and say, what's this? She actually had to run through A, B, C, D, E, and then find the letter she was looking for. So it's very difficult for them to associate sounds and symbols. Things like difficulty tying shoes, difficulty with writing, difficulty remembering facts. There's just so many little things that you can pick up on. And I guess my recommendation would be if you sit down and read with your child and it just seems like it's not coming easy and naturally, and you read and read and read and they're still missing words like the, which is very common for a dyslexic. You know, you can have a book and they can sit down and they cannot sound out the word the. So those are all really early indicators that maybe you need to have them tested.
Well, and as you say, have them tested. Where can we turn for more information here in our region in Northwest Ohio or Southeast Michigan?
Oh, great question. We have actually a Facebook site. It's called Toledo Dyslexia Network, and we post information daily on how to help parents, all kinds of useful resources. We also have you can contact me directly and I can send out what we call our parent resource packet, which is all kinds of just really useful information for a parent to kind of get things going, because you don't know where to start, you don't know where to turn, and this kind of gives you a nice package of information to get things going.
And for maybe a parent or someone out there who may feel like this is something that they're facing, or you know someone who's facing this, would you mind giving all of that information as far as your Facebook page and your number, or the number to reach you on, if you don't mind?
Right,
if you want to take down a pen and paper, if you want to jot this down.
Okay. Once again, my name is Sue Moyer, and I'm with Dyslexia Advocates, and you can reach me at dyslexiaadvocates@gmail.com. Once again, the Facebook page is Toledo Dyslexia Network, and if you have questions, you can post questions on that Facebook page, comments. You can message me if you want to get additional information, and throughout the year we do host seminars, reading seminars, dyslexia seminars. We also do something which is really important, and that is we provide symposiums for teachers and actually have a dyslexia simulation, because so often if you don't have a child touched by dyslexia, you don't understand how difficult it can be. So it's a great tool to help teachers and be able to, you know, give them a little more insight on what it's like to be dyslexic.
Sue, thank you. We do appreciate you coming on with us today. A lot of information there. We'll stay right here. We have more when we come back. That was great.